Hello everybody, welcome back to Action Jack Media. So, I had an idea recently, and as you can tell by the title of this video, it's kind of an interesting one. I recently restarted playing Monster Hunter World with my sister because she actually wanted to learn how to play it, so I've been teaching her how to play it, and also telling her about the lore of Monster Hunter and all the monsters, and how I really love how well all of the backgrounds of these monsters and creatures just work together, and how their whole ecosystems are thought out, and everything just fits together like a nicely pruned puzzle, and everything just works. And I've also been rewatching Ben 10 because, I mean, you gotta have a little bit of childhood nostalgia during the thing that we're not allowed to talk about on YouTube right now. While that thing is going on, I've been rewatching Ben 10 and replaying Monster Hunter with my sister, and it got its claws stuck in me, and I can't not do this now. So here it is. Here is the thing that has been keeping me up until 3 a.m. every night. Ben 10 Aliens through the lens of Monster Hunter. I hope you enjoy. So we're starting out with Wildmutt because I could not help but think that Odogaron was just very similar to Wildmutt in a lot of ways, so I had to use this as an example. So while you're watching the time-lapse here, I will go over this creature's origins. Vulpinora are fanged wyverns that reside in the deepest, darkest caves of the Wildspire Waste. Since they evolved in the dark, their eyes have become vestigial and are now covered by their thick hide. However, because of this, their other senses have been heightened to compensate. They have extremely keen sense of smell and can sniff out their prey with ease. While similar to Odogaron in appearance and often believed to be a subspecies of Odogaron, their hunting behavior is quite different from Odogaron. They are not scavengers, but pack-hunting ambush predators. They strike at their prey when they least expect it. When they do hunt, they typically go for smaller prey, like Kelby, Gaiju, and small cave creatures like geckos and bugs. They are extremely territorial, and will jump at anything that comes near, often getting into turf wars with creatures like Diablo and Baroth. A mother Vulpinora will protect their young with a vigor that trumps even the maternal instincts of a Rathian. Vulpinora recognize each other via smell and distinguish each one of their younglings individually, even without the ability to see them, and will remember that scent for their whole lives. Hunters will often see female Vulpinora teaching their younglings to hunt via pack tactics, while the adult males tend to stay in the dens in order to guard them. However, when the males do hunt, they prefer to do so in solitude. Some researchers have recorded Vulpinora grunting and vocalizing with each other in ways that could possibly resemble communication, but further evidence has yet to be recorded on just how intelligent these monsters are. In terms of attacks, these monsters are fast and fierce. Once they sniff you out and view you as a threat, hiding will no longer be an option. Alongside their sharp fangs and claws, they also have barbed quills that they can shoot from their backs and tails that pack a serious sting. If you wish to avoid these creatures, just make sure you pack some dung pods, as they are extremely averse to them. Just one dung pod shot near the creature will cause them to rear up and run for the hills. So, as you can see, I've taken a lot of inspiration from Odogaron here, but placed it in the Wildspire Waste because the Wildspire Waste doesn't actually have a fanged wyvern that goes along with it. I always kind of figured that we would get something like that, maybe an Iceborne, but it seems like there isn't anything, at least to my knowledge. But yeah, I thought it would be really cool to have a great Jagras-like creature roaming around the Wildspire Waste. Something where you would be able to tell the gender of the creature based on the way that it hunts. The females would have the smaller Jagras-like creatures following it and would all attack in unison like the Great Girus, and the males would be slightly larger, slightly darker red, and they would attack in solidarity. They would attack by themselves and be maybe a little bit more aggressive. I'm not sure how much coding that would actually be for the game, but I feel like that would be kind of a cool way to distinguish these creatures from the other sets, because otherwise I feel like they would be kind of just a copy of Great Jagras and Great Gyros that looks like Odogaron. So I kind of blended all of the fanged wyverns together, and I named it the Vulpinora because the Wildmutt home species is called the Vulpamancer. So I'm also trying to take a little bit of inspiration and changing the names of these creatures a little bit to fit Monster Hunter World style. Up next, we have my take on Cannonbolt being a Monster Hunter monster. I again drew the parallel between Uragaan and Radobaan and Cannonbolt all rolling and using their round bodies as weapons. Radobaan is actually one of my favorite monsters in the game, and I love his design and just I love fighting him in general, so this was actually a really enjoyable one for me. Now, on to the bio. The Peloroton seems to be another evolutionary branch off of the Uragaan family tree. The key defining feature of this brute wyvern is its rounded backplates and extra fatty elastic hide. This makes it extremely bouncy. It uses this feature to roll at incredible speeds and ram into its foes. It's said that getting hit by one of these at full speed feels like getting shot with a cannon. These large herbivores need to ingest large amounts of plant fiber every day to survive, and moss happens to be one of their favorite foods. They wander and roll throughout the ancient forest, bouncing off of trees, rocks, and anything else in the process. Because of their large size, they are not deterred by other monsters, often feuding with Anjanaths over territory, or simply rolling over smaller monsters that might happen to be in their way. Peloroton have a thick, fatty hide that is actually very delicious when properly prepared, and at one point these were hunted specifically to eat. The meat of their tail is especially good because the Peloroton prefer not to attack with it, and thus is softer on the palate. If you ever find yourself fighting one of these monsters, keep in mind that they are always faster than you may first think. You will have to be quick on your feet to dodge them. They will always try to roll and bounce around their environment to confuse their foes, so don't get caught with your back turned to it. As you can tell, again, I wanted to put a monster in a place where I felt like it could be interesting. So I figured the Ancient Forest would be actually a really interesting place for it to be because it could bounce off the trees and rocks in the area, even bouncing as high as to knock down the suspended rocks and boulders. It could be extremely interesting to fight in some of the areas of the Ancient Forest because I want this thing to be fast. I want this thing to have moments of... I want this thing, if you were to fighting it, to have moments where you are only dodging it, and points where you literally can't do anything but dodge it and hope for it to stop rolling. I figure it would be kind of a fun one to play around with, especially with the bouncing feature. I want it to ricochet around the environment more than roll, because I think that embodies Cannonbolt quite a bit more. I had a lot of fun drawing this guy as well. Cannonbolt is one of my favorite aliens. He's got a great design, and I think it translated well to the Uragaan body type. Making their nests strung between the bones high atop the rotten vale, Laputa Die stake their claim. Laputa Die are large, neopteran monsters similar to that of the Celtis of the Old World. These flying insects use their unique odor to lure their prey into their sticky web-like nests. The Laputa Die smell like rotten flesh and secrete a mucus that lures the scavengers in. Since the Laputa Die prefer their prey alive, but don't have the proper jaw structure to break bones, they encase their creatures in acidic mucus to dissolve their flesh and make it easier to eat. Beware of their foul smell and sticky mucus, because if you would happen to be coated in it, not only would you be immobilized, but your armor may start to dissolve. The Laputa Die stinger is also a feature to fear. On the off chance you would be stung by it, you would be paralyzed. Their powerful wings can also create a wind aura around them, making it difficult to even approach. Be sure to bring plenty of flash pods to level the playing field. So, as you can tell, Monster Hunter World has a significant lack of anything other than basically wyverns. There's so many wyverns in Monster Hunter World. We need insects and crabs and amphibians and all that back. So, here it is. I wanted to bring insects back into Monster Hunter World by introducing basically a combination of Celtis and Narcilla. It's... those were my two major inspirations, Narcilla using the corpses and stuff to camouflage itself and to lure prey in, and also the web and stuff, and the web effects being sticky and all that. And I think we need some bug monsters, you know? I mean, why not, right? I think it would be a great fit for the Rotten Vale, and you could play with the acid and the flying and the wind and all of that stuff really, really well. I see in my brain a turf war between this Laputa Die and, say, a Dogoron, where it swoops down and grabs it with its 4 giant legs and lifts it up into the air and just drops it. Similar to the Rathian and Anjanath fight, but, you know, with some buggy flair. Maybe it stings it a couple times or something, and then the Dogoron falls to the ground paralyzed. It would be awesome. And I hope you agree. One final little note there on the stinkfly bug. The Folly voice work for the monster's sounds were actually done by yours truly. I recorded my own little screech and skitters there and edited it together and played with the audio, so I hope you liked that, because I couldn't find any good little monster bug sounds. Of course, I added in insect flapping and cicada noises as well, but that's that. I hope you enjoyed this video and this concept. I have a lot of other ideas of how I could do other creatures and monsters, and especially Ben 10 characters, so if you have any of your own ideas of ways that I could represent these different aliens in the game, leave the comments down below. I mean, I would love to see it. I would love to hear from you guys and hear from your ideas. Maybe this can become a small ongoing series of some kind. There's plenty of source material to go off of, so shoot it my way. I mean, what can go wrong, right? Again, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe, all the stupid YouTube stuff you know at this point. Otherwise, I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you next time. When they do hunt, they typically go for smaller prey like... Be sure to bring plenty of flash pods to level the playing... to level the playing field. Yep.